Oh, we're keeping it spicy in Challengers today. TSM against really unlikely odds to take down the second map of Ascent. A little bit of a troublesome map for them for a while to take us into a map 3 to find out who is going to be moving on to Ascension and who gets eliminated. Don, I mean, this was crazy.
Crazy indeed. I mean, we've come to expect the scrappiness from TSM, but this was a much cleaner map from them. A nice solid 9-3 defensive half sets them up for an attack side that started to look a little scary towards the beginning. MXS getting that pistol, starting to build that momentum, getting several rounds in a row, but good timeout from the side of TSM. Really locked in, honed in on some weaknesses on the A site, started to scale and take that A main zone and bust out onto the A site really effectively, and that really set up for the TSM victory there. So really well done by TSM, a lot less dirty than we typically see from them. These guys were looking on point. I mean, Sin with that rifle, or I'm sorry, with that sniper rifle was just looking insane. Really hard to contest with that when you're trying to enter onto the bomb site and he's looking down the operator scope at you.
Yeah, honestly, really even in the head-to-head between the Jets, but neither of them actually has a huge impact outside the start of the round. I mean, Sim and Mata are involved in like 10 and 11 first kill, first death situations, respectively. So, the rounds are definitely starting off between those two Jets, but I've got to say, for a team that is as scrappy as TSM are and love to take these duels, their clearing protocols on the attacking side were really good. It took a little while to get them rolling, but because they had such a solid defense, mostly because of a proto being basically unkillable over on that A side, they've just got to win themselves like a few rounds, and I love the way they get onto A main. They really hammered that site. They put a lot of pressure on Odorous, who's playing by Gen, and a couple of times they cleared out Mata for free, who was trying a few different things, like playing from wine or, trying to play around sort of one ways that were thrown up towards tree here. So TSM looked very, very well drilled, and this is another map that is, they made its way back into their pool. Ascent can always have that volatility of just, what team sort of turns up on the day. And you can see here individuals really ruled the roost. But it's another situation where Mata is taking a backseat to the rest of his team. Again, it's Vic Brock and Odoshima. They were all able to step up. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to get them over the line. Their A hold was really flimsy. And I think there's a lot to be said about, getting good value out of that deadlock on defense. As much as she is a sentinel, Don, we really feel like she's very powerful in those post plants on the attack side, but you have to time her util so well when you're defending with her, and that requires you to get info. You have one less info gathering agent, replacing them with a sentinel, and it can be hard to do that safely and to make good rotations with that composition.
Yeah, that's right. You're forgoing an info initiator agent when you're going for that deadlock pick. So your rotations have to be on point. You have to really understand what they're doing and be in the right place to use that utility. It's strong util, but if you're not using it at the right time, it could be really, just useless for you.
I do want to say, too, that I definitely thought for a little bit, once we got into the side swap, that MXS were kind of looking in a nice spot to be kind of closing things out. But as soon as TSM got their bearings, they really did not let go of them. And Uber calling back to 1 round 2. They're so aggressive, and MXS, just kind of putting themselves out a little bit, and TSM are taking full advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Mata, it's very straightforward. It's a Blade Storm round, but they get hit by a 0 point stuck in wine. This is, again, TSM having really good clearing protocols, and they step up onto the site and they wash them away. We talked about it. Odoshima really struggled to play from Gen effectively because quite often Sim is dashing onto the site and trading himself out quite happily after, for example, in that round, they got a free kill essentially on Mata, and they're able to just to wash away the site. Odoshima doesn't have time to put down a barrier. He doesn't really have the ability to make trap plays happen with the GravNet because they're playing quite passively and they're not really fighting for that A main outside of, Mata maybe hoping to catch some people and dash in. And look, that 0 point to wine is pretty common. It's not the standard one that you throw, but it's going to get mixed in, here and there on a couple of rounds. And that's a round that Mata makes a big investment in getting the operator. And that's when things really start to fall apart. TSM find an opening to pivot into some attack side round wins, get 4 in a row and take the map.
I mean, we'll have to see for MXS if they can kind of pull themselves together now looking at map 3 in the series. Because reminder, this is do or die. Loser, you gotta get nothing. Winner will be going on for Ascension. It's gonna be TSM starting over on the attack. And Don, when I'm looking back at MXS on this map, it's kind of something that, I don't know, there's been a lot of kind of changes in the composition, just kind of tweaking here or there, which I think for me looking at it seems to be terrifying when this is now your chances of moving on the line.
Yeah, they're clearly, trying a couple different things, seeing what's going to stick for them. You know, that's pretty common for these guys, but I think in particular they've shown a willingness to put their duelists on different agents, right? They obviously trust him a lot to get the job done and be a utility that they can use for the team, no matter what agent he's on. And it shows a lot of faith there, right? And I think that's something that is translating through. You know, he obviously is coming into the finals with some of the highest, if not the highest stats in all of the tournament. So this is a guy who's dangerous on no matter what agent he's on. And then on the other side, you have TSM, who, you know, we don't really know what they're going to run. They played a Haven match early in the season, but they've obviously been working on their map pool. They were banning Haven for a while. Now they're not banning it. They've been floating it. You know, what are we going to see? Is this going to be the same old that we've seen from them before? Or are they cooking something new?
We'll have to find out. We won't have to wait for long. Zippo Agent Select coming on up for the big decisive map. It's all about who can be showing up on the day, who can be performing, and then, okay, it's going to be TSM back on the Neon.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting to me. TSM did dabble a little bit with the Neon on this map in the past, and they did, you know, link it up with the Breach. So some of the ideas are going to be pretty similar to what we saw on Sunset. But what I loved with TSM in their last matchup against Blinn is they had great defensive rotations, won 8 defense rounds against that team in order to take the game away. But this is a return to their old comp.
Yeah, and I'm curious then, returning to what is old if it's going to be gold now. And reminder, map 3, it all comes down to this. Map picks have been exchanged, but who can perform on Haven is going to be coming out on top and be moving on to Ascension. For the last time today, back over to Vance and Lemon to take us through.
Thank you so much, Sierra. I'm so glad I am comfortable in my blacklight chair. I am sat and ready because Sim is on Neon, and you saw the Lord's work that he did on Sunset. I'm so ready.
Lemon Kiwi, what does it look like? The chair is tiny for me, and yours is like XXL size.
Well, you know, they gotta treat a queen, right? They gave you the good one. They gave you the travel.
But no, jokes aside, this is definitely going to be a very important game, because definitely going into the do or die BO1 TSM versus MXS. But on top of that, Sim going back into a Neon for the composition for TSM. They've played this in the past, but they have a double initiator to support Sim on top of that. And I think it just makes sense to see how well he's been playing on Sunset the last few times that he's played the Neon, and not maybe getting the best value, but adding the extra concusses for the Floods is going to be okay on how Sim brings out the playstyle of this Neon. But MXS to start things off, a walk contact on the top of the C site, where it seems to be a Flood retake that's going to happen from TSM from a flank as well.
Kind of a weird trip up against the wall. I guess it catches the player that went to the corner, so it works. Hook, line, and sinker. And MXS running the same comp that they won against Blinn with after having so many iterations of what MXS wanted to run on this map. This is the one they gotta think it out with. Sim slides out through the smoke, and Vic knows there's people behind. The dominoes fall, but there's only one remaining. It's Odashima on the post plant. Recon gets taken out. TSM stopped their way forward, and it will be a defuse for TSM. Another pistol too.
And what a moment for TSM to pop off and win the pistol round here in this third map. Pretty much a storyline of how TSM has been playing throughout the stage 1 and stage 2 to this moment. Always in the mid pack, always potentially the Giant Slayers, but never took them down. Was always able to take a map, never take series at this point. But now when it matters the most, going to the playoffs, they knock out the top dogs like OXG, and they're able to make it through now at this point to get even closer to winning into map number 3 against MXS, and it starts off well with that pistol round. And with this second round, they do not want to relent. Potentially another walk down, but it's a smoke instead for the choke to start things off. And 2 players just holding down towards B. So we're weak side towards A for TSM, and it's a great start for MXS if they want to continue to tempo in this area.
Wow. Just gunning it down mid. Even Psycho said, like, both these teams really trust in their duelists to play whatever agent they want. Mata on his best one of the Jet. Sim back on the Neon. Let loose. He wasn't checked on Sunset. He's gonna see what he can get away with this map. His boys catches someone peeking, but there's a lot more around the corner than he expected. And then just 7 gets hit by a shock bolt. That's funny. MXS will play with only 2 bodies. TSM have GMD with an SMG too. I could get around this. And Sim with high gear. He really wants to just run it down on MXS. And I guess the one way works out in favor of MXS as they could just wait and see Brock with 3, but a Proto with the last left and the defuse for TSM.
A Proto once again in a clutch situation where we were a little bit discoordinated, not coordinated rather, into TSM for the retake when, again, its players running ahead of utility, and the upgrade that he had from the Bulldog from Brock almost won that there for MXS. In this eco that they had, only pistols coming through and a Proto. Sometimes it's not a sheriff, sometimes it's a ghost, and he'll still make it ring. So TSM able to stop the bleeding, but their bonus round is going to be abysmal now. And MXS has a great opportunity to even run away with this round with the flawless.
Great couple of rounds, especially when TSM are that good on pistol. They can build early rounds. This is how they kind of had such an advantage on Ascent, is having a 93 half and not giving too much of a buffer to MXS to really climb back. We'll see what kind of lead TSM can build as they hold their positions. Now 2 in garage. Definitely hearing someone on the other side. And Sam is wanting to swing out of this. He's insane, and he didn't even get punished for that. Paranoia is gonna catch MXS, and TSM go in for the kill. But the Hunter's Fury as a retaliation there from Brock. We'll get the punish on Sim as MXS trade blows with TSM.
That's a great start because that's 2 weapon potentially upgraded now for players, and the smoke don't miss, which allows Mata to get the pick onto Poise. So that stops the bleeding. A chance now for MXS to hold the post plant.
And MXS are just all stacked on the site. They could be attacked from garage, the back site. The smokes are gone. MXS. Okay, who is looking at what? And Mata has the better shot. And they're just mowing down TSM, flooding in 1 by 1. And it's just GMD. He's gonna make this expensive, and he can make this winnable. Spike is ticking down and heard MXS leave. He's gonna tap this. And yeah, MXS are gonna just pressure him off. GMD knows it's unwinnable and hopes to get away with his weapon.
Stopping the bleeding no matter what towards the end. I mentioned going into this round, this potentially could have been a flawless round for MXS because you only had a Guardian available for TSM around pistols. Because MXS did such a great job on that second round to keep the economy low here against their opponents. But that paranoia, that slide and a double swing started everything and also wasted out the early Hunter's Fury from Brock. So that's actually a big W here for TSM going into their gun round. They could afford to play with smaller shields here. As you can see, GMD, he has enough to buy full shields, but still wants to play small armor so that he could potentially buy or save for an off as soon as possible and give it into the hands of Sim. So keeping their economy right and going for a spray. 7 starts it off.
And he re-peeks that. Of course, there's a smoke, but kept MXS trapped and thought they were safe to move up. Now MXS will have to do this without Vic, without smokes from him, or at least there's still smokes from Mata, and MXS have been able to quietly walk in aftershock to push 7 back, not completely out of heaven, so MXS have a window to plant in, but with TSM, with Poise around the corner, MXS don't have a lot of time to waste. Now they can have a time advantage now that the spike is planted. And of course, Fly will be in position to flash once TSM walk in. Poise flashing from heaven as well. MXS, they start to get surrounded. Sim, though, is cut down. And that's all MXS needed to do was slow him down. But it's a true battle, and TSM thrived through that chaos.
It had to come down to a 1 versus 1 again when TSM's utility start things off. To kick things off in the retake looked really good. I just had to. Oh, that made me jiggle, that made me chuckle a bit. Sorry about that, chat.
Jiggle.
But at least when we're looking at how things started for the Flood retake for TSM, to kick things off with the fast lane, just to make sure that you waste enough time, give a chance here for your breach to get on the top of heaven, and you go for a paranoia flash and recon dart to get perfect pings and allow TSM to get the positioning and knowledge of where MXS were set up to go for these trades in these fights was perfect. And now MXS in a broken buy, potentially wanting to leverage this rolling thunder if they get an early pick. But they're definitely avoiding A side to start as soon as GMD smokes this out. So they're pivoting MXS towards a mid plant, which could be kind of good, though. I'd give this over to the Jet to go for a plant and a dash away, or to Vic. But instead, it's a walk contact.
It's from a random peek from Vic to Garage, as planting B seems so risky if all 5 were to be alive from the other side. And MXS have found a way to fault line too when Sim and friends on TSM's A side like to be annoying. Now it's a teleport from MXS and kind of ran into something there at C to make MXS pull back, and they're still gonna take control of Garage. Hunter's Fury from the defense to slow down MXS, to weaken them. They're almost all tagged up as MXS have no sense of comfort. Now the spike is dropped. This round is over.
Oh, man, but this is a similar storyline, though, for MXS. To force out these ults out from TSM into their lower gun round, or into their lower buy, is actually a nice little silver lining here for Moist X Shopify on their attack side. Wasting out this Rolling Thunder, the neural theft out from a Proto. And for TSM, they're okay to spend it because they're like, okay, well, things have been going well for us for these fights. We could probably get ults up into a second or a third cycle. So it's nice to use them whenever we can, especially when we're able to get a 4-1 lead so far. And Seven already putting his plushie on top of the camera. They're starting to feel it here. No pressure coming out from TSM into map number 3.
I know Seven was like tweeting out some stats of like, oh, his plushie buff, like something about a plushie buff. I forgot what it's called. I'm not a true weeb, but I'm sorry. But, you know, TSM are happy, especially when you're forced this early of a timeout from MXS. Like, TSM are such a frustrating team to play against. They really bring out the worst in everyone else. Like, you saw just how Oxygen couldn't even reach that peak because they kind of have to stoop to TSM's plan, which sometimes is just run and gun through the smoke. We'll see what MXS have discovered after this timeout. Trailing only by a few rounds, but definitely being thrown off, having to even go to Haven.
Goes here.
But there's definitely 5 players in this lobby right now that are feeling the pressure of this third map. Recollecting what happened to these 5 players when they played in the lower elimination last year in the VCLs. They lost it against the Guard, eliminated, and had to wait another year to try to qualify again into this very moment. And that's Flya, Brock, A Proto, Sim, and Otoshima. But this time on the receiving end is Moist X Shopify, just like Moist Moguls before. Sim's looking for a fight, and finally Mata is finding some life here for MXS to fight.
Cover going out.
And Sim didn't have a friend that time. He didn't have GMD to go for a paranoia, and like Sim has been able to free peek and not get punished. This time, not so much. Drone up through Garage will reveal MXS there's no one there. Maybe the back of spawn, and there's just been a lot of dry peeks that are resulting in MXS picks. And they get to just run into A, of course, through short as well, clearing everything. And they've smoked off Heaven, so good start for MXS.
Yeah, maybe even a save to move forward here for TSM. Their economy is quite low. And you already see them backpedaling towards the C site to meet up with a Proto. And these are important rifles to save, but also realizing that they can't really free reign walk out into these angles anymore, just like they did the past couple of rounds. MXS decided to slow down the tempo a little bit more, pull back all the way towards the spawn in the very beginning of these rounds, and just trying to punish who's ever going to over peak coming through. Because remember, the playstyle that Sim has with this Neon and how he played towards the sunset, doesn't mind to peek out through smokes, through doors, because he could just activate the high gear and just dance away, jump away, even dash away if he needs to slide away. And this time MXS was ready for that. And that might change now the approach of how TSM wants to play the defensive side, though.
Just, you know, from the front.
Well, MXS are starting to figure out that TSM, like you said, like to go for those dry peaks. So MXS just patience is paying off, and this is how they can take back a couple of rounds, especially after that timeout. Worked out for MXS. So TSM just got to dial things back and don't peek out of garage unless you got a paranoia, unless you have some util or information to play off of. But that's not that's a slip up that TSM won't let happen again. That's the usual Odin spray from 7 through A long that MXS sometimes like the fault line towards just to keep them in his place. And with that defensive smoke in place, MXS map control for TSM are gonna explore that right side of the map.
Yeah, and now this forces a Proto just to fall back and play the retake towards the C side, especially when TSM are playing a weak side garage. They try to set up a crossfire this time on the A pressure that MXS has been bringing in on the last second hits. So now that's taken care of. They know the hits towards the C site. They're still controlling the garage and the C mountain, so this is a free rotate, and they could have a flash flood retake right after.
Fly only has one flash left. No paranoia. Shock bolts from Brock. They've got some options if you're MXS to
That's insane.
keep TSM stuffed in this corner as Vic past finds a little crack in all the smokes, and he's above, and he'll get one for his troubles. But TSM have found a way into the site now that those defenders from MXS are gone, and it's just Otoshima. It took a lot of time for TSM to re-enter, to retake, and now it's a 1v1 with Brock, or 7, that's just gonna stick the defuse!
Oh, he saw that he was tapping there for Otoshima and almost got there. Almost got the kill onto 7, but it comes down to a full stick through the smoke. But I gotta give some credit on how Vic tried to break the retake, the flood retake coming through, sets his own one-way on the top and TP's on it. And that was not expected by TSM. Almost ran away with more than one kill. Unfortunately, playing the Vandal, couldn't spray as well as the Phantom, and that got immediately traded, and you saw how it all unraveled towards the end. But a nice little attempt, but at the end of the day, it's a round that goes back and forth for the last 3 rounds. This time, it's TSM taking the upper hand, and now taking the lead still by 3. And MXS going back to what kind of worked, hitting towards the A side and having better positions on the pulse plant where they don't have to play the long-range spam and could play inside the site.
7 hasn't spammed A long, so the trip is broken. MXS checking for Cypher utility. Just come up. This is going to isolate Fly, and you can't afford to lose him. For information for
oh my god!
For fights, but I guess it doesn't matter when 7 gets 4 in the corner with an Odin.
There is something with 7 and an Odin in this series that you cannot take him down. And despite being such a heavy piece of weaponry, he's able to swing that like it's a feather to be able to get such good spray transfers out to hold the anchor on the A site. And that's just off great utility as well. Passive, assistant play by A Proto. A trip that gets broken, pulls up the camera, puts the cage down, and activates it so that 7 could actually have such a good position at that corner of the sewers and get that 4K in the round. And now MXS, I think they have to split a little bit better now towards the A side, or at least try to insert players into the minute mark down towards sewers if they want to try to hit towards the A side, because moving in blindedly into these splits, they're running into heavy traps.
Here.
Brock has a drone, and that's the last option of info after the recon there, but it doesn't matter. MXS just dash in, but they get hit by a paranoia, so Mata will fall. TSM match the numbers, and the lockdown will keep TSM from retaking anytime soon, and it pushes them to the edge, and Vic is gonna stick this teleport, and Sim knows what's up, and Vic doesn't have the HP to scrap through that. So unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah, you're running a lockdown, and you're still TPing outside of the radius of the lockdown. You're giving your life away.
Yeah, and while Sim is trying to take some lives away, activating the overdrive, and TSM just win every gunfight. So it doesn't matter. MXS, the setup works, the plan works, but what happens when TSM don't care about your plan and throw it in the garbage?
And Otoshima got caught with a knife in hand. I don't think he was expecting that TSM were going to roll so quickly on the push out towards the attacker spawn to take him down. And now they're starting to feel it here for MXS, especially now when you're looking at a map like Haven. You're approaching this map potentially being more attack sided, especially now that it's come back in the map pool. A lot of teams are kind of just trying to find new ways to approach the map at the very beginning, where you had potentially even fades coming back out, the neons being utilized. There's no double control. The Viper's out of the question now as well. So you're still trying to be at ease around the map, where now that you're approaching the map with a 3 site, it gives a chance here for IGLs to really work some better defaults and potentially bring this into a better attack side, just like Lotus, for example. But right now, TSM are the ones that are just able to find the right positioning to stop any type of hits that MXS is trying to take when they think they have good attack side calling to start. I mean, look at this. It's 7-2, and now you already have the second timeout being called by Mac. They have nothing left now for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and you see MXS talk and just how important this timeout is to calm themselves down. Like we've heard so many interviews about composure and how important that is for decision making, for mechanics, for just emotions. Like some teams really are like about vibes, and I see MXS being really stressed because this was not even a map they were expecting to go to. And this is MXS, who struggled against a neon comp like this against Blinn. Well, we're running a fade on that side instead of a Sova and a chamber, but Moist only won that 13-11. So this is not an amazing map for Moist. And as they run into A, they run into the same troubles of TSM playing a forward defense on A. It'll cost GMD and a Rolling Thunder as MXS try to fight fire with fire and run through A short to see if they can pinch them in. But MXS decide to abandon ship.
Started off well, though. Vic with the TP across to break line of sight from the recon to get the first blood, but 3 of them just got pinged out by the Hunter's Fury from 7. So they're going to move in together. Yes, they'll get a plant, but they're going to be weakened now in the post plants. We might give a chance now for TSM again to fight back.
Yeah, nothing off the Rolling Thunder, so MXS will drone into C, and that is a big pick to catch Sim on the flank. He's been a menace to them before, but you have this Odin from 7 that can just cause all chaos, and Mata just is barely gonna get away with this plant shot right at the end. And now Proto is online, and he as well, and Neural Theft will keep Otoshima in his place. And he is pinged down. That's yet another successful retake out of TSM. That is what made them so deadly on Ascent in the first place.
Yeah, and Proto, again, we talked about how he threw that Neuro Theft a couple of rounds ago when they were playing against the lower Viper MXS. This time in a 3 versus 1, still throws a Neuro Theft. Why not? With the way that he's playing, he might even get a 3rd one in the next 2 rounds to be able to get more value. But if not, that the Hunter's Fury that started things off and that kick-started things. And I wonder if he actually did it on purpose to let Mata stick the plant, because it was not planted for a long spray, so he could just tuck into that position and just diffuse it freely while his teammates are watching his back. So all of this, TSM is thriving under the pressure once again. And MXS, it doesn't look like an MXS that we just saw here in the last 2 maps.
Light shield buys from MXS, and that's Fly's health being chunked out. He goes to repeat that against the Odin from 7. Usually, you know, to be fair, he's positioned on the A side, and this Odin in Garage is a new look. But Sim in Garage looking for blood is nothing new. MXS even tried to stun them back. Now everyone's barking on the other side of the walls. TSM come out on top with the engagement, but it's not unwinnable for MXS. But now it's all up to Brock in a 1 versus 3. And the Odins, man, they must have bust them or something.
No Broctagon this time around, no clutches coming through either, but that drive-by from a Proto falling back and still getting the kill onto Otoshima falling back into the Garage, it just shows how they're so comfortable. He's even fully stunned by his own teammate and gets a kill off of that. They're just vibing so far here for TSM, and they could do no wrong in this first half with just fadeaway kills, kill through smokes, the way that they're just flooding back into the sites, and also finding perfect timings because they're swinging into moments where they should be able to get away with murder with the first kill. But change of pace.
Oh, what? Just the ultimate punish. MXS says, we're really done with your business. They just roll it. Aggressive push into A. Hunter's Fury from Brock to pressure the backside, and MXS will take full control and have all these re-entries smoked off for the moment. Now keeping Fly alive. Actually, he has no util left. from the shadows there, activated from GMD. Won't stick it. MXS playing from main and also on the site. Mata at a close corner hold. TSM have shot close. They have a paranoia. There's GMD throwing it out. They get smoked off. The timing of that was huge for Vic. And MXS scrapped their way through. And they weaken TSM down to their last person. And it's 7. That wasn't a 1v3. And now 2 left. Oh, that's menacing. Gets it halfway. But that is it. MXS with a big win once they up the aggression.
I just love it. Someone's like, hey, Big, watch me defuse this halfway. But they had the utility there for the pulse plan for MXS. They were looking at a good spot. And again, it was just on the quick tempo that they added into sewers to really catch TSM off guard and not allowing, I think it was Sim on the op there to get true value at the bottom of the sewers. And then MXS just caught so many players off guard right after that because they were a little bit in different positions there on how they were holding the defensive side on that A side. So thankfully, they stopped the hemorrhaging, they stopped the bleeding. And this is a 9-3 half in favor of TSM, reminiscent of the second map rather, of Ascent.
Time for a speed.
Oh yeah, ooh, you really had to bring that up, that 9-3 half for TSM, but
was it a curse?
Get back on. It could be cursed.
Cage trigger.
TSM on the attack this time.
Standing ahead.
MXS, what is Mata wanting to push past this shield, or are they going to want to just fire as the cage drops? I'm realizing TSM aren't there. A lot of right side map control for MXS. Their KJ util in B. Someone holding garage. No one on C. So MXS gambling to stack the right side of the map. Here's TSM. Storming into B with no smokes to protect their planter or to protect themselves from getting pinched from all sides. As well, TSM completely abandoned B, realizing how exposed and vulnerable they are. They pivoted to C right into Brock's Reed, who couldn't win a gunfight. But now that MXS are united, it's Vic with 3. That completely turns us around for MXS.
Same storyline once again. MXS winning the pistol and comfortably on top of that. Couple of ghosts being purchased, and the delay was really good to keep TSM off the plant. And as you mentioned, with no use support utility to get TSM into the site, the plant towards the B side, they thought they were going to be able to rotate fast enough because they had a Neon in their comp to really try to break that rotate over. But that's such a fast rotate from B to C here that MXS still had, 3 bodies inside the site by the time TSM made it through it and broke the turret. So now Moistek Shopify have a chance once again to turn it around. This is going to be a full classic save for TSM. This once again could be potentially a flawless for MXS, which gives them 3,000 across the board, a strong bonus into the next round where TSM, they're probably going to have a rifle round going into the next. I'm just looking at their econ to see if they want to go for an op onto Sim, but he went into a sheriff this round. They're going to try to leverage that to get an opener on their side.
MXS is playing a distant battle, the one about information, and just slowing down the tempo until they know where the hit is going. Fault line, and Poise exposed himself out of the smoke, and GMD was there. Paranoia, nothing. TSM are gonna see if they could collapse onto these defenders and see while they know where they are. But Vic is different. This is now back-to-back rounds where he gets at least a 3K.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling it right now for Moistek Shopify. Holding on the anchor, holding on the C side, but that's 2 times that TSM have been working towards this side and sees that it's an Omen and KJ being set up on this C plant. So now they go for a tempo into the A site with an Odin in the hands of 7, and MXS is ready for it. They already have 4 players on this side. Fault line, smoke getting ready, trying to put their jet on the line from Mata, potentially even walking up with a stinger. But they are poised to fight this.
Who is gonna stop Sim? Slows down right in the smoke. Mata, does he cross that threshold? TSM just winning the battle, at least for A short, while MXS gonna make a good dent into A long. As Brock with an SMG sees someone in sewers and just, oh, the SMG's not gonna win that. A drone to see how pushed up he is. And Brock has to wait for Otoshima, who's still rotating from B. TSM have a 1-man advantage, and with that thing and the Odin, Brock is a sitting duck as Otoshima at least gets to some work done. rest of TSM will push onto the site, but 7 is stoic.
Definitely stoic. He's reading everything to perfection. Yes, lost players towards the left side. Almost missed the spray and almost lost the fight to Brock on a default. But after finally getting that kill and deciding to fall back because he knows he still has a lot of time to work with, decides to back up towards long A, still watch the angle against Otoshima, close down an angle, and then wins that fight towards the end because he has an Odin spray to get the kill. Is giving TSM closer to the victory, closer to the taste of moving up to Ascension.
Well, hope that shock bolt was worth it, 7. It costed a bit of holes in the armor there from the Odin of Brock, as Brock will drone out of mid because of that smoke. Spotting Sen early in that round. TSM are nowhere to be found mid, and the push has begun for C with the speed of Sim. Nothing can slow them down except someone called Vic, and he has been incredible in the fragging department for MXS. But Brock down to 25 HP, plays off the paranoia, makes the call to Brock, sprays him down with the Odin, 2 shock bolts too, as TSM have to re-clear the drone. Gets about halfway, you don't see what's on the other side of that box. TSM are uncomfortable, and they're gonna leave.
They're pinned. You already have to walk across. You have Mata holding inside the window with the op. There's nowhere that TSM can go so far unless they win these fights.
We'll push by force, and Mata makes his way behind. The Odin is dropped. Like you said, TSM are pinned. They were hoping to just shoot through some of these walls. If they would have gotten the pick on that member in Garage, and make the job a lot easier, a lot more doable. Now it's just a proto, but MXS could use every round they can get. 1v3 now for
10
Proto.
seconds left.
They can't hunt him down anymore.
He's going to these isolated duels. He's gonna get a lot for his troubles, but ultimately an MXS round.
I was gonna say, they can't really hunt down these kills so far. Well, I guess after that, they are able to salvage an Odin and an Operator. So they could still have a pretty decent buy around, but if not, losing an extra player as they were trying to hunt him down, that would have been very dangerous going into this round. But at least there's one thing that's really good for MXS so far, is Vic on fire on the seaside anchor. Right now for TSM, with the amount of times they've been attempting to hit towards the seaside and get fully denied by Vic, they might start thinking about working different parts of the map, going back into a B hit, going back into an A hit. But what this means is that you could start stacking more players around for MXS to heavy hold in those areas, because you kind of know that Vic could just get a 2 or 3K because he's just feeling himself towards the C site. So TSM now, that might be a call for them. It's like, okay, well, or we try to figure out a way to really take down Vic, or we have to work a different part of the map. And MXS, I think they're ready for this one.
7 is so locked in. 23 kills after 16 rounds. Are you serious? Really clutching up for the team, because sometimes it really does come down to not playing A, not playing B, but the all-out scrap that happens on this site when all the cards are on the table. And TSM, we said they're this chaotic team because those moments they know how to aim under pressure, to say the least. But MXS only trail by 4 rounds. And TSM have both their timeouts. Well, after that one, only one, but
Come into the
TSM,
unknown.
now they can adapt. And they're going to try and overcome yet another top team in Challengers. Hopscotch play from Sim. He's done that before. Now the fault line coming from a short gets the attention of MXS, who all stacked in here. And with all the util, who can react quicker? And Brock, playing off the flash. Beautiful stuff out of MXS. And now the smokes to keep them divided, to slow down TSM. To maybe even divide them, but a Proto still needs a body to use that neural theft and won't get it. MXS have not given them an inch, and they will not get a mile. It's a Black Light Flawless for MXS.
A Flawless is huge on top of that for MXS, and TSM, I don't know if they gave their tell a little bit too early to decide to hit the A side that way with a low buy, but that recon dart that was thrown out from Brock got value on, what, 4 pings on the top of long A. And that was huge here to allow for the 3 players to really anchor up and set up here for the A site anchor. But TSM going into this round, they are looking to potentially still fight here on a mid-C split. So An interesting call. Mata might be able to swing out with this op. Can he punish one here?
MXS realizing just the deadliness of TSM's retakes. If they plant and give up the side, MXS just don't even want to let them set up in the first place. So MXS just with these aggressive peaks, especially from Mata, keeping TSM at bay. But now that the smokes are up, you don't know where TSM are, and they could easily re-peak.
It's a good start, though, because the dash got activated here by Mata, although he didn't use it to dash away. So for TSM, they don't know where the op is at yet. There's still an element of surprise here for MXS, but there's no real, I could try to dash, get through a smoke in a pick. So TSM can now leverage the next cycle of initiator utility to try to rework the map. But if they're walking into the door because the op shot never came out, this could be a good opportunity for a pick.
It's an important position for Mata to hold, knowing TSM have loved the C site so much. They've even put the KJ util on defense there, and Mata pushes out. There's just too quiet in mid.
Spike
And now drops the op, gives it to TSM, and they've planned it for B, and they just are not going to hold inside the site. And this MXS paranoia gets no one. They've cleared, and around this corner is GMD, of all places, paired up with the Proto on the left side. MXS out in the open. The spike gets tapped. TSM knows someone is home, but it's Vic. Who's so good at harassing TSM to make this close. But it's TSM up to 11, 2 rounds away from Ascension.
And MXS were never going to be aware of the second flanker being a Proto that you just called, because the Proto never swung out after GMD died. So a bait and switch for him to just be the final nail in the coffin to secure the round for TSM should somehow 7, with the way that he's been playing so far, didn't win that fight against the superstar Vic going into map 3 here for MXS. But that swing out from Mata, we talked about no dash available, so you get instantly punished there, and it gives the neural theft again. Great information out from a Proto, a silent killer, and a silent piece of utility that's so useful for TSM to work the map so far in map number 3.
Hunter's Fury from Brock early in the round. At the very least, would have gotten information on A long, or if they would have been even poised at the A side. So even though you get nothing, you get something in terms of information from Brock, and he still has the recon, still has the drone. If anything, now TSM have to re-drone and re-clear this whole area.
They're okay of doing that. Late owl drone, though, got dispensed at the minute mark. They can't really re-clear towards the A side because of that owl drone gone. So they're going back into a mid to C hit on the side of TSM. Maybe trying to bait out and waste out Killjoy utility. Good enough for a full plant.
Yeah, long bot chasing him down too.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
Sim
care.
just got to do Tokyo drift around the site. TSM still have all 5 on the post play, and Flya pieced it. Thinking he got something off the flash, thinking he had the advantage, and he had nobody to support him. Defenders locked down now from Otoshima to help MXS reestablish the middle of the map.
That's crazy.
And 7 is just gonna brawl through it. Now can play at the edge, and it's only Vic remaining in a 1 versus 3.
No
He
way.
just gets sprayed down by 7. 3 with the Odin.
TSM are one round away from ascending. A team that lost to M80 in the upper quarterfinals 0-2 and went for the lower bracket run, beating VCT Esports, beating collegiate team Blinn, but then with the biggest upset against OXG are about to do the impossible by also upsetting another top Titan, being Moist X Shopify on this map of Haven. It all comes down to this, with a Blade Storm around rifles, small shields, and a Rolling Thunder for MXS, and 5 chances to move in and win the series for TSM.
And will it be MXS falling over their shoelaces right at the finish line, just like they did last Ascension? TSM 1 round away, and it all comes down to this. Mata couldn't get a pick. And MXS didn't send more with them, but at least it's a win for Vic. Pushing up through C, catching GMD. No paranoia, no smokes from TSM. Just working on that right side map control. And now realizing there's someone around here, Flya, still has a Rolling Thunder. His life is so important for MXS's chance on the retake.
Exactly. He's down to 33. Almost got punished out of that one, and that could have been over right there. MXS room to breathe. Now Rolling Thunder picked up as Poise picks up an orb, and this might now give a chance here for TSM to just lock down util and ults for the pulse plan, especially now that 7 has a Hunter's Fury off this plant.
My ult is ready.
Sim could go for an early peek. He has the fast lane too if you want to kind of isolate these duels. But TSM, in a 4v4, Rolling Thunder, Hunter's Fury, waiting for a sound cue. But it's Flyas Rolling Thunder that comes out first, and no one checks the corner under pressure. It's Sim yet again. And now it's only Flyas. And it's a 4K from Sim to send Boy Shopify out of playoffs. TSM ascend.
Who better than Sim to get the final kills and a 4K on top of that? But a team together that has been grinding for the longest time here in the stage 1 and stage 2, where nobody thought, nobody blinked an eye, and nobody ever brought TSM into the conversation that they could potentially ascend into the playoffs in Monterrey, Mexico. And here we are, TSM doing the impossible, proving people wrong, and now have defeated Voice Shopify in a BO3.
And from the first round of the lower bracket, TSM got sent here by M80 in a 2-0, have battled through SAD Esports, Blinn Esports, Oxygen, and Moist Shopify to return for a grudge match against M80 in the grand final, no less. What an insane day. I can't wait to hear what the desk has to say, so let's go check in with Sierra.
Uber Al Gaib.
Goober's over there, man, for real. I just have to say, I mean, Vans is talking about nobody really thinking that TSM would have been the team. And I think that there's a lot of people that go into that category. But TSM, I mean, man, you have to be like hats off, props given where it's due. TSM in this lower bracket, Don, have turned it around. Like, they wanted it so bad, and they earned that spot.
Yeah, they did it the hard way too. I mean, going down to the lower bracket this early and having to sludge your way through this through so many good teams is just so difficult. And it's a testament to their resilience and the experience and chemistry they have on this team. I mean, we talked about how scrappy their matches look sometimes, but you know, it was never in question that they had the individuals on this team, right? The talent, the mechanics. It was just a matter of putting all the pieces together, getting that team play nice and crispy, right? And this is what we're seeing from TSM. A nice victory here from them to close this out in map 3 and send them to Ascension. Oh man, they have to be feeling on top of the world. Look at those celebrations. Poise is just feeling it, man. I love that guy. He is always full of energy. You know, he's just the rock of this team and keeping them focused when things get hard throughout this series and throughout this bracket. And so I know this means a lot to him.
Look at these stats real quick. I want to direct everybody's attention to the post-plant column for MXS. This is what TSM have done on Haven quite recently. This map looks a heck of a lot like their matchup against Blinn, but there's like 4 or 5 retake defusers on that defense side. They are so good at, you know, getting set up. Their rotation's been fantastic. Some of this aided, of course, by just the raw speed that Neon gives you, the ability to be at those sites when you need to be. But I got to say, 7 went absolutely mental with that Odin. Some fantastic play. But in general, the setup for TSM in those post plants, they flipped this map into a defense-sided one. That is how TSM's games on Haven have generally gone. And they've made a quick change, right? Sim is off the Jet and now on the Neon. I think that really just adds to that even more. Such a great performance here. And we saw 2 maps in this series that TSM haven't showed us in quite a while. We talked about them maybe being up and down. We saw a lot of their Lotus gameplay, you know, like Icebox here and there. We're like, okay, is this team the real deal? Now we've seen the fruits of their labor over the last few weeks. This stage 2, they've been working on some of those weaker parts of their map pool, and they brought them out to play in a big way today. Incredible stuff for TSM. Absolutely heartbreaking for MXS as a project designed to be at that Ascension tournament. But yeah, it's all about peaking at the right time, and you better believe TSM, they're up there.
Oh, they're peaking hard, and I know they're feeling good. I mean, we talked about it before the map went live. Haven, not a map that we've seen from TSM recently. We knew they've been cooking on it. We kind of speculated that they might have a new look, a new game plan coming out, and it's very clear that they put a huge focus in their practice on drilling these retakes. These retakes were clinical. There's something, if you're out there and you're trying to get better at your retakes in ranked or in Premier, watch this VOD. This is how it's done. They're using it to perfection, and like you said, turning it into a defensive sided map. And man, 7 on that Odin. He is just making it look so easy. If I didn't know better, if I just saw this match in a vacuum, I would think that gun is overpowered. You wouldn't know what watching me try and use
Everyone's
it in ranked,
abusing
that's
it.
for sure.
Both teams had their time to shine with the Odin too. I mean, and the Odin. But honestly, TSM, I think, too, a really big takeaway from this series, specifically as Haven, is just looking how they're able to play off each other. Someone dies and they instantly have someone there to pick up the pieces. And I think really, if they're going to be able to move on forward and play like this tomorrow, play like this at Ascension, this is going to be a terrifying team to be watching out for. So literally all of the kudos in the world to them. M80 and TSM moving on to Ascension. Only one can move on up, but super, super exciting time here for Challengers. We're going to be having an interview with a proto after the break, but first our post-series highlights. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
One enemy remains. One enemy remains. Last player standing. 30 seconds left. One enemy remains. One enemy remaining.
Enemy down.
One enemy spike down. One enemy One enemy remains. Eyes down.
I know it.
One enemy remaining. Seconds left. Spike down.
Yeah.
One enemy.
Die.
2 seconds left. One enemy. One enemy. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Work. On.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Hostile removed.
One enemy
Shut
remaining.
down.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Very.
One.
TSM, the lower bracket Demons, with the 2-1 victory over MXS. They're going to be moving on to the grand finals, and most importantly, going to Ascension. On the line, I have a pro to here to chat a little bit more. Congratulations, you're going to Mexico. How are you feeling?
So good. I can't even explain how good it feels for us and the team, especially with how it took us so long to get into the groove and play how we should be playing. This is how we should be playing, beating these top 2, top 3 teams, you know? Like, this is us right now.
It is amazing to see everything just kind of click into place here when it's the most important, of course, looking at this Ascension tournament, because TSM from the get-go, I mean, the talent on this squad is insane, but looking back at stage 2, it's been this 3-3 sort of thing. You got locked down to the lower bracket, then everything kind of clicked. The teamwork's looking so much better, the fundamentals, everything. Was there something on the team's end that just kind of clicked here? Has it just been the accumulation of hard work finally paying off? Like, what was the change?
I think from the get-go, we knew that we had a roster that could do really well, and we we started like all these top teams like Moist, M80, Oxygen. They've had rosters for a while now, right? So they've solidified their team chemistry and their strats. They've had all of that. We've had to work that from the ground up from the very beginning of this team, and especially when you have basically five new players on the team together all at the same time, you're not only working on the strats part, but working on playing like as a team in cohesion, you know. And we would have glimpses of that, and then we would fall back a little bit. We'd take like one step back, you know. And this last like month, we've been seeing a lot of improvements, and especially during playoffs, things just clicked. Where now we're playing off each other better. We're still over peaking sometimes. That's something we're trying to work on. We gotta reel in everybody a little bit, but it's just feeling so good. We're playing off each other so well, and Kev is calling really well right now. It's one of the big things is when we listen to Kev, when he takes his time and no one's rushing him, he's doing his thing, he's making the right calls, and that's allowing us to relax and do our own thing also.
I mean, I'm glad to see that everything's clicking, and listen to more is what I'm kind of understanding from this, all right? It's what y'all got to do tomorrow. But I do want to ask about one switch that we got to see in the series, looking at this neon switch that we got to see coming back onto Haven. It was something that y'all did a few games ago. Last time we saw you on Haven, like three games back, and then kind of switched off of it for the Jet, bringing it out here when it's do or die for the team. Was that something you guys have been working on for a little bit here? Is this something that was game time decision?
We weren't working on it for that long. We just knew it was in our back pocket because we played it before. Like it's the Jet and Neon playstyle. We've done them both, and they will play differently. So we felt confident, especially because they were running at KJ, that the Neon would be the better pick for us.
That's fair. And now I want to talk about your journey a little bit, because we did get to see, of course, you last year try and vie for the spot and come really close to it, losing in the lower finals and just kind of missing out on that spot. So this was kind of a redemption story, and you're going up against your old teammates as well. So how does it feel then for you now, back up against the wall in the series, being able to then take this win?
It's bittersweet. Don't get me wrong. Like, it feels amazing to win it and prove that, you know, at least for me and Tyler, you know, that us getting removed, like, that we still have it, and that with another team we have exactly the tools that are needed to win, you know, and make Ascension. And it feels really good. I love the guys on that team. I have no bad blood with them. In fact, they're still my friends. So it's it hurts that they aren't getting to live their dream right now, but it also feels good that we have a chance to do ours.
100%. And it's not quite over quite yet, of course. You got the big prize, which is going to Ascension, but we do get to see you one more time tomorrow go up against M80, the ones who knocked you to the lower bracket. And Don specifically wanted me to ask if you're worried about going up against them again tomorrow.
One of these days we got to beat them, right? Like, there's been how many close OTs, like maybe a couple times where it could have been a 2-0 for us. Like, they're such a good team, and we're just starting to play the best VALORANT we can play, or at least not the best VALORANT. We can always improve. You know, we're at our highest point we've been at yet. I'm confident. I'm feeling confident, but they're beasts, and whatever happens tomorrow, we'll still have time to prep for Mexico and show up there.
I mean, I'm definitely excited to see, especially with this turnaround TSM has had. Congratulations yet again on Ascension, this win, everything. Thanks for chatting. Have a good night. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. You too. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you. Back over to the desk for us to be closing out the day. Now we got to hear a Proto's answer about how the M80 matchup is looking. Don, are you worried? Because like TSM are kind of looking good.
I mean, they're looking cold. It was a good answer from a Proto. I mean, one of these days, right? They got to be able to take M80 down. I think they're like you said, this is the best VALORANT they've ever played as a team, and I think their ceiling is even much higher than this. So there's a lot of time.
Look into his sunnies. You can see Haven strats on his screen.
Oh shit!
He's trying to get the download, baby. Yo, your boy's scared. They're coming for you, Don. Watch out, buddy.
I've been exposed. I mean, their Haven was looking good. It might have to be a ban for us. We'll see going into it tomorrow.
I appreciate that instead of just taking off the sunglasses, that you have to cover them. And so I respect the brand. But
it's a commitment. It's a lifestyle, you know. The shades stay on.
Perfect. I mean, looking back at the match today and kind of looking forward, TSM again, this lower bracket run to be moving on to Ascension is just absolutely incredible. And again, when we're looking at a Challengers this year that was so competitive, I think when we were looking at the conversation of what team was going to make it, it would have been Oxygen, who TSM knocked out in a 2-0 fashion. Could have been MXS that TSM just beat now. Dark Zero that was eliminated earlier on. I mean, there are so many talented squads, but an Uber at this point for TSM to just really be able to pop off when needed. That's a terrifying TSM if that's the version of themselves they're proving up show up to Mexico with.
And this might be also time for TSM to sort of let that ascent open. Last time these two teams played, TSM and M80, they actually ended up banning Ascent. And, you know, otherwise, like, I think they'd probably try and get rid of, like, the Lotus that M80 could offer. I'm already diving in. I'm already thinking about this game because I think this is a different TSM. And I like what a Proto's saying. It's like, this is us. This is the team that we have been working to be over, you know, the last months here. So they are scary right now. They played like they did today. And tomorrow's series is going to be an utter banger.
Yeah, I've been harping on the slop. I'm not even sloppy, just scrappy play from TSM, and you know, just the way that they have such individual power, but their team play has fallen short. And it's interesting to hear Proto's perspective on that and saying, look, like, we know these other rosters, they've been around longer, they've had more time to gel, to gather this chemistry and really grind it out together. And TSM are finally getting that opportunity and really hitting their stride right now. And if they could stay consistent, yeah, I mean, we got a really scrappy map one, right? It was a really typical TSM scrappy map one, but map 2, clean. Map 3, clean. The way these guys are double, triple swinging, getting their trades, really cohesive. You know, the communication is clearly there. The expectations are there. The calling from Poise is amazing right now. They are sure peaking. And if I'm M80 tomorrow, I'm shaking in my boots just a little bit. Oh wait, I am.
Yeah, you are, M80.
It's definitely going to be an exciting matchup for tomorrow, but that's unfortunately it for today. Make sure to be tuning in for the grand finals tomorrow, TSM versus M80, to see just how much of a step up TSM has had and if they can get revenge on the ones who knocked them down in the first place. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Casters, analyst, production for being awesome. We'll see you then.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.